Hi, I'm Martin, and today we're here on a wet and windy December day down at Siren Craft in Finch Hampstead. As part of our Brew With Us series, we've been lucky enough to be given the recipe for Soundwave by Siren Craft, which is their core IPA. So rather than staying at Malt Miller HQ, we thought what better way to learn how to brew Soundwave is to actually come down here to Finch Hampstead and brew it with the team from Siren Craft. Don't forget, if you like our content, please just click below, subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. So we've popped up to the barrel store and to meet Darren, who's the owner of Siren Craft. Thank you, Darren, for allowing us to come here and film and brew with your team today, and thank you very much for the recipe for Soundwave. Can you tell us a little bit about Soundwave and how it kind of started off as a beer for Siren?
Yeah, sure. So it was actually one of our first flagships. So it was a beer that was on our lineup right from day one. And if you go back to 2013 when we started, we had Undercurrent, which was an oatmeal pale ale. The idea there was no one was brewing oatmeal pale ales at the time, so we want to have something with a bit of a twist. Going right the way up to a breakfast stout. But you can't call yourselves, or you couldn't call yourselves a craft brewery without having an IPA, could you? So so we had to have an IPA. And back in when we started in 2013, Soundwave whilst the recipe hasn't changed hugely, the hops are still the same, the malt base is still the same, the IBUs has changed a little bit, and the water profile's changed quite a lot. So it was much more of a West Coast style IPA, cleaner, much more cleaner, both in terms of visual presentation, but also bitterness. The inspiration was really you can't be a craft brewery without having an IPA, and we wanted something that was going to be that right ABV that's sessionable-ish for the UK, which I think even in 2013, 5.6 was still bordering on that's not sessionable.
Yeah.
But it ticked all those boxes for us.
And what kind of beers were you drinking that kind of inspired it, or what guidance did you give to kind of this is what I want Soundwave to be?
Great question. I mean. If you look back at the time, Brewdog putting out Punk, but you had Thornbridge with Jaipur, which was a classic. It still is a classic beer. Magic Rock were just about putting out some stuff around that kind of area. So I think the idea of what you want from an IPA was generally pretty easy to tick off. It's got to have a decent bit of punchy fruit with some bitterness, and that's what we were aiming for. And actually, I think there's a really early stage video of Ryan talking about it, where his inspiration was for, the idea for an IPA is, look, it's not about the malt base. This is all about the cleanest vessel to get the hops into your mouth as quickly and cleanly as possible.
That's such a good beer.
Still 5 stars?
Yes, definitely 5 stars. I mean, even since the first day I started drinking this back in 2013 when you started brewing it, it's still just really pleasing me to drink this beer. It's such an enjoyable beer. What hops are in there, Darren?
So you got Citra Simcoe. They're the guys bringing they're doing all the heavy lifting. You've also got a little bit of Columbus and a little bit of Chinook as well, which I really like. I mean, they're not your typical. If you're looking for a juice forward flavoured beer, they're not the typical hops to add to something like that, but they just add a nice little layer of, I call it a bit of spikiness, but they just add something to it which kind of just gives it a bit of a lift for me. So,
I mean, you said it is slightly different. It's not that big bitterness hit. It's very fruity. It's very tropical.
Yeah. That's what. A lot of tropical fruit, but it's not just juice, is it?
There's pininess in there. There's almost that resiness is still there as well.
Definitely, yeah. No, I get that. But we've done a lot of work with the water profile to try and smooth it out a little bit, but still retain that element of bite. And it's an area that we're still doing a lot of work on. I think if you go over to the brewery, we've got a water system that we put in last year, and we're still playing with it now. Still really trying to dial in that system to just get that mouthfeel to the point where we really want it. So
it's great that you're taking what for me is a classic beer that I've grown to love and still love, but you're still tweaking and playing to try and make it the best it could possibly be.
Yeah.
And that's be that the water, the slightly changing the hops and the times, or whether that's changing the yeast. It's just like, it's still such a drinkable beer.
Yeah, it's something that you wouldn't believe the amount of time and effort that we go into to make sure Soundwave is where it needs to be. It's, you know, it is a beer that probably is about a quarter of our production at the moment. So you know, it's really important to us to make sure we're doing everything we can, not just to make sure it tastes the same every time, but just get the most out of every bit of ingredient. If we can find a way of just elevating it a little bit, it's you know, we're always on the lookout for trying to do that. So
I think those kind of tweaks just still make it such a relevant beer in today's market,
right,
as much as it was when you first brought it out.
I hope so. I mean, it's it's still a beer we love, and it's still a massive part of our heritage. And you know, I think in this day and age when you've got everybody wants, you know, new, it's really difficult to keep something right at the forefront of people's minds, and that's really down on us to make sure that we are doing everything we can to make it the best it can be. So
all I can say, Darren, is thank you very much for the Soundwave. Thank you very much for the recipe, and thank you for letting us come here.
Yeah, no worries.
I guess it's now time for us to go downstairs and have a go at brewing it with Matt.
Yeah, that should be fun. Yeah, excellent.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers for having us.
So we've moved down to the tap yard here at Siren Craft, where we're going to brew Soundwave on a grain father which we brought along. But most importantly, this is Matt. He's a home brewer who's been a customer of ours who we've been talking to actually put this day together, and also the recipe kit.
Hi mate, how's it going?
Yeah, good, thanks mate. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how this day kind of started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the events and retail manager at Siren Craft Brew. But kind of before that, first and foremost, really passionate craft beer fan, and a bit of an amateur home brewer. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the Soundwave recipe.
Yeah, so we've heard about the hops from Darren, but we've got the malts that we haven't spoken about. So it's actually quite a simple malt bill. We've got Maris Otter for the fermentables, and then some wheat and some dextrin, just to add to the body and give some head retention. Nice and easy, but you know, really effective. And I'm really excited to use one of these. And this is kind of how this day came about. So I'm excited to see what this can do, really, and also brew a Soundwave on it.
Cool. Well, I guess all that's left really is to kind of dough in and get the mash started.
Yeah, let's do it.
So that's brew day done. All we've got left to do now is chill the wort down and take it back to ours to ferment. So Matt, what did you think about doing the homebrew scale version of Soundwave on the grain father today?
It was a lot simpler than I thought it'd be. It really takes the hassle out of brewing, but it's still hands-on, and you still get to have fun and enjoy kind of the experience and learn about how to actually brew a beer. So yeah, absolutely spot on. And it smells just like Soundwave would in the brewery as well. How have you enjoyed today coming to the brewery and brewing a batch of Soundwave with us?
Matt, it's been brilliant. Can't thank you enough for having us here, letting us have a look around the brewery, see how crazy busy you guys are, and you know, just the scale of things here compared to doing it at a homebrew scale. And also it's just brilliant for Darren to give some of his time earlier to talk through the inspiration of Soundwave. It's just kind of reinvigorated my love for the beer. You know, it's a beer that I've always enjoyed drinking, but it's really still relevant today, and I'm kind of questioning why I'm not drinking more of it. So I'm really kind of looking forward to taking this back, and fermenting it and getting to taste how close it comes out as.
Yeah, I can't wait to taste it either.
Now we're going to get the wort back and ferment it at our place, and then hopefully in a few weeks' time, we'll get Matt and a few of the guys down from Siren to come and do a side-by-side tasting of homebrew Soundwave versus Siren Craft Soundwave.
Yeah, look forward to it. I can't wait to come up to the malt biller and try it.
So we'd just like to say again, thank you again, Matt, for having us here today, and to Darren and the team. It's been a really great experience. Don't forget, if you like our content and you like what we do, you can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook.